to the most important award ceremony this year. We'll see this year.
I'm sorry, could you use the microphone on the lectern?
Okay, all right. So I've been told often that I have an obnoxiously loud voice. I don't need it. I'm going to use it. I will use it. Does that work better? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So welcome, everybody. It's really good to see you all here. It's been a couple years since we have been here in person, and it's been quite a couple years. We're here to honor a group that has always been worthy of this honor, and I think the last 2 years have really shown us how incredibly important this time to acknowledge the amazing service of our EMS folks is, and how important it is for us to acknowledge that and spend today, and it deserves so much more than a day, to really acknowledge what goes on. You're going to hear the term hero a lot today, and at the risk of a little bit of hyperbole, I would say that this will be the one time when it's not overused. And I don't know a group that better defines frontline workers than our EMS providers on any level. Anyway, thank you. So I am really excited to be here today. I do want to acknowledge we have some special guests. We have many special guests. I want to acknowledge a few of them. If I acknowledge all of them, we'd be here all afternoon, but I do want to acknowledge Mary Ellen Carroll, who's the Executive Director of the Department of Emergency Management, and Chief Sandy Tong, who's the Assistant Deputy Chief. San Francisco Fire, we have a number of wonderful representatives from San Francisco Fire, from AMR, I know Medical Director of King, and many others as well. So it's awesome to have you guys here. And as an acknowledgement of how important this is, the mayor is going to be joining us today as well. So we're going to be excited to welcome her in, and we anticipate that she will be able to say a few words in acknowledgement again of the incredible service of our EMS providers. So I also want to say, first of all, happy EMS Week. It is EMS Week this week, and EMS Week actually started back in 1974. Gerald Ford pronounced the first EMS Week. At that time, it was November. It has gone through a few iterations over the years, but back in 1992, it was moved to the third week of May, and again, it's a time for us to really acknowledge the amazing service of our EMS and pre-hospital providers. So happy EMS Week to all of you, and it's a great time to be able to celebrate these particular awards. I want to now go into what we're going to be doing today is giving a number of awards. One's going to be the dispatcher. Another's going to be our first responder. We're going to do a field provider, a hospital provider, the community participant. You have a Lifetime Achievement Award or the Ray Lim Excellence in EMS Award. And then this year is particularly exciting. We have the inaugural Mary Magosi Excellence in EMS and Disaster Leadership Award after Mary, who many of us knew and had the opportunity to work with. This will be the first inaugural presentation of that award. So all awardees here were nominated by their peers. They were ultimately chosen based on those nominations by the EMSA, the Emergency Medical Services Agency for San Francisco, by the committee that they established. And all nominations can only come from San Francisco EMS services. So again, truly distinguished awards, peer nominated, and really a thank you to EMSA and for their having this award ceremony and acknowledging how critical this is. So with that, I'm going to ask Andrew Holcomb to come up and say a few words. Andrew's the acting director of the San Francisco EMS Agency, or EMSA, and he's going to say a few words to open us up here today. So welcome, Andrew.
All right. Good afternoon, and thank you everyone for attending the San Francisco EMS Week Award Ceremony. For those who don't know me, I'm Andrew Holcomb, the acting EMS Agency Director, And Dr. John Brown and I, the the EMS agency medical director, would jointly like to congratulate all of those who were selected to receive an EMS award this year by the physicians within the EMS system. We want to wish the entirety of the EMS system a happy National EMS Week. It's hard to believe that 3 years ago we were in this room, and that's the last time we were all together. And what we've been through since, that time period. There's a difference between simple and easy, and as we all know, EMS is neither. So we've been through a lot as a system, and we want to acknowledge everyone's hard work today, and especially the honorees. We honor, acknowledge, and memorialize those today who went beyond the call, those who rose above. You represent the best in San Francisco EMS and the EMS profession as a whole, and ultimately you have made the difference in the lives of people, and I cannot think of anything more noble than that. I wish everyone a happy EMS week, and thank you for joining me in recognition today. I would like to ask Executive Director Mary Ellen Carroll and actually Rob Smuts to come forward for just a minute. We've got something special from the EMS agency staff. We couldn't possibly let either of these fine individuals go through EMS week without some EMS swag. So we want to present the EMS, on behalf of the EMS agency staff, we want to present some shirts for you. So, thank you. Oh, all right, and Mary Ellen, since you're up here, I'll invite you to say a few opening remarks. Thanks.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Mary Ellen Carroll. I'm the Executive Director for the Department of Emergency Management, and I am so happy and honored to welcome everyone here to the 2022 EMS Awards ceremony. And as Andrew said, the first time in 2 years, and everything that we've been through, this is just incredible. Each year, well, most years, we gather to recognize exceptional EMS providers, EMTs, paramedics, first responders, doctors, nurses, and community members that support emergency medical care. And today, we are celebrating your tremendous accomplishments and dedication to safety and care for our residents and the visitors to San Francisco. This award ceremony would not be possible without the hard work of everybody at EMSA and some of the team from DEM. EMSA returned to DEM in the last year, where I believe they belong, and we're just so happy to have everyone back. I'd like to acknowledge the leadership from EMSA, especially Acting Director Andrew Holcomb and his whole team, Aaron Bacchus, who worked really hard to get this together, and I also just want to acknowledge Rob Smuts for his leadership in shepherding EMSA back into DEM. But if it weren't for all of these folks, we wouldn't be here today. So let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. So earlier today, there was a dedication ceremony for the Sim and Training Center in honor of the late Mary Mgosi. And I just want to add, when I started with the city 17 and a half years ago, I started at the Department of Public Health, and EMSA was at the Department of Public Health, and I worked with Mary Mgosi, in those early years of my career here at the city, and the acknowledgement of her service is so deserved, and her loss is very deeply felt. Before we talk about it, I just want to take a moment just to have a moment of silence in memory of Mary. Thank you. I'm also the daughter of a nurse, so nurses are rock. The Disaster Leadership Award that we are going to inaugurate today is to honor someone working in the EMS administration who contributes to emergency medical services or disaster medicine by providing significant administrative support and leadership to the field of EMS in the tradition of Mary. And so it's very exciting to give out that award today. So this year's national EMS theme is Rising to the Challenge, which is absolutely appropriate and fitting, as so many of you and so many in the EMS world have risen and adapted to the greatest health crisis that we have ever in our lifetimes experienced, and asked to support another crisis that has impacted the Tenderloin community as both frontline responders and leaders in those efforts. So I want to address your contributions and your excellence in EMS for service you provided every day, and especially over these last 2 years of the pandemic. You have done so much. And here's a few of the things. Beginning in March 2020, you swiftly responded to the COVID-19 pandemic when the system became overwhelmed with 911 calls. You were present when patients became ill and desperately needed medical support until a more definitive treatment became available. The sacrifices that EMS providers made during COVID is very unimaginable. The stress and anxiety of long shifts combined with not having a vaccine, wearing PPE or not having enough PPE, informing families of lost ones, to your own isolation from friends and families, to the stress of the possibility of bringing COVID home. It's really unimaginable, and it's at all levels. We experience that at dispatch, everyone in the hospital, those of us who are behind the scenes coordinating the response, and of course, the frontline workers who never stopped providing services to San Francisco. The efforts of all during this, but specifically the doctors, nurses, EMTs, paramedics, first responders, was selfless, proud, and really those committed actions helping others before yourselves makes really you all stand out the most. I stand here today, and I just want to applaud everyone that aided in these efforts for COVID-19. I want to thank you for everything that you did. And, I also just want to say that being at the helm of a COVID response, I saw you, and I continue to see you. I see you in the dispatchers that came in every day. I see you, in the medical health providers that really were incredible heroes and on the front line. But as if that wasn't enough, as if we didn't ask enough of you, we also asked, in particular, fire and EMS to stand up and help us with our crisis in the Tenderloin and the crisis of the overdoses and homelessness. And having been leading this effort in the Tenderloin, I can just say there is no way that we could have done this without the leadership from fire, EMS, without the paramedics that are out in the field every day. So I just want to personally thank all of you. I try to get out as much as I can to see the operations and the response teams, and it's just, I remain, just in awe of what these folks do every day. So right now, over the last year, in addition, as part of that, we have new street response teams, and all of those teams have a component from the EMS world. We have this crisis response team, the street wellness team, and the street overdose team, and now also the Healthy Streets Operations Center all have an EMS lead component to it. And it just goes to show that for the most entrenched and, intractable problems that we have, where we turn to actually help and make that happen. And the mayor announced yesterday that our homeless numbers, our unsheltered homeless numbers are coming down. That is in large part, there's a number of reasons for that, but I can tell you right now that it was EMS workers that helped to get people off of the streets and into SIP hotels, and you all know that. Those of you, many of you in this room. And that work does not go unnoticed. So I just want to, on behalf of the Department of Emergency Management, to thank you. It is really, truly my honor to have a EMSA back in the agency. It's always my honor to stand here and represent my dispatchers and dispatch supervisors, who I see you all out there. But all together, we are a family, and so lucky us that we all get to be here together in person again. So thank you for your unwavering commitment to save lives during COVID-19. Thank you for your continued commitment in our Tenderloin Emergency Initiative, and we are deeply grateful for everything that you have done and continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you, and don't go too far. So one more thank you again before we get started on the awards. We do want to thank the Department of Emergency Management, External Affairs, the whole group. Thank you for putting all this together, and particularly Nubia Mendoza for some really incredible work in getting this all done. So thank you to all of you. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get started now with the awards. And we're going to start with the EMS Dispatcher Award. And for any of you who have not had the opportunity to listen to, or at least experience the world of a dispatcher for just a little while, I really encourage you to do this. It's remarkable, and I had an opportunity on occasion to do this. I am never disappointed. It's a group that can take information from people who are experiencing, in many cases, the most significant event, or one of the most significant events of their lives. As you can imagine, and I'm sure I would be as well, they're very excited, sometimes quite upset. And it really is an amazing talent to take the information that comes in all variety, in all forms, and figure out what needs to be done. And in fact, we can often trace back some of the most amazing responses and saves that we have had in our system to a dispatcher who figured out this is a problem and who needs to be responding to it. And so a really important part of our system that doesn't always get that acknowledgement. And none of particularly EMS gets the acknowledgement, but dispatchers maybe least of all. They're often in a room where we don't get to see their face, and yet they play such an incredible role in our system and our ability to save lives. So it is my pleasure to announce that the 2022 EMS Dispatcher Award recipient is Christopher Mendez from the San Francisco Department of Emergency Management, Division of Emergency Communications.
Hello. Okay, now I'm going to say some nice things about you. So I am honored as the Executive Director for DEM to talk a little bit about Christopher. As was noted, this award is for someone who exhibits exemplary performance in the quality of their dispatching, calling, an incident report, and outstanding achievement and contribution to the San Francisco EMS system. So on April 12th, 2021, Christopher answered a call with a frantic and distraught tone, pleading for help for their unconscious loved one. Despite the caller's extremely emotional state, dispatcher Mendez recognized the sounds from an unconscious person as agonal breathing and began to provide the caller with clear, direct, and encouraging instructions to administer compressions. Dispatcher Mendez's guidance and support gave the caller the confidence to remain committed to helping her loved ones in crisis. Thank you, Christopher, for such a phenomenal job on a call that was not only difficult to process due to the nature of the call, but for being an anchor for this caller when they needed someone most. And I also just want to say, Christopher, whenever I see you, you always are so seemingly happy to be at work. And if he's not, he fakes it really well. But you're really a pleasure to have on the floor. And but most importantly, regardless of that, you save lives, and you really provide help to people who really need it in a way that we're so proud of. So thank you. So please, let's give him a hand. Yeah, let's get a photo. Can we do?
I guess I can just say something really quick. Yeah, go. Hi, everyone. So I just wanted to say, I didn't write a speech, I just want to make it really quick. This award came during a really dark time. My year last year was really dark. I had lost my grandma, who was my entire family, in January, and then I became a caretaker for my grandfather in, let's say, like June. And so this call came in, I want to say in April, and knowing that I could still deliver that sort of service, life-saving service to somebody, really touched me. So thank you.
So a face that has been here every year since I have been here is Dr. John Brown, who Andrew mentioned earlier. And unfortunately, he could not be with us today, but he does want to welcome you in his own way to the 2022 EMS Awards. So we are going to let Dr. Brown do it by video.
Sorry, that's the
That's not
incorrect. No, I know. Weirdly enough, I've seen him before. We do work together. Let's see here. There we go.
Welcome to the 2022 San Francisco EMS Awards. I hope that many of you are enjoying each other's presence, especially after 2 years of COVID-19 restrictions. Although I regret that I can't join you today, this ceremony is a true milestone and a testimony to your tremendous resiliency that we've made it this far through the COVID pandemic and related stressors. So congratulations. Our EMS Week theme this year is Rising to the Challenge. And as you are about to see from the amazing work of our awardees, how varied and competent EMS providers can be in this regard. I want to acknowledge that we are only able to recognize the tip of the iceberg of the wonderful work being performed in our community daily. You should be justifiably proud of this. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to all our EMS personnel for your commitment, your dedication, and your compassion. You are an inspiration to me every day. I also want to thank the EMS agency staff, Department of Emergency Management Leadership and External Affairs, and the EMS provider medical directors who assisted us in making these award celebrations possible. Thank you.
I know John really would have liked to be here today, and he talking earlier with him, he wants to send once again his sorry that he cannot be here, but truly excited to support these awards as we all are. So our next award is going to be the EMS First Responder Award. The First Responder Award goes to the first responder in public safety profession, law enforcement official, other non-EMS first responder, any of that group who has exhibited exemplary performance while responding to an emergency that required them to provide medical care to a person in need, or who performed an extraordinary act attempting the saving of a life. Kind of describes every day in EMS, so it's really hard to pick a specific event, but this one's another particularly exciting one. So the 2022 EMS First Responder Award recipient is Matthew Ferris. Hold on just one second. So Matthew is a paramedic and firefighter with the San Francisco Fire Department, and we usually don't give the first responder award to somebody at the paramedic level, except that this particular award is based on his actions when he was not on duty. And he was actually on a ski trip. And I'm going to actually ask the person that he helped in this event to come up and talk a little bit about what happened and why he's getting this award. So if Ernie Mill could please come up. He is the injured skier who was rescued by paramedic Ferris and will tell the story and present this award.
Well, good afternoon. Matt didn't warn me that I was going to come up here in front of everybody and speak. But yeah, it was a great Saturday day, skiing with my kids, Sugar Bowl, beautiful day. Snow was pretty hard, but had a great day, had lunch, went up to the top of the hill, and decided to take a different run. Coming down, everything was great. Come to near the bottom of the run and started racing with my kids, and we're all pretty good skiers, but we hadn't been on this run before, and that was the end of my memory of that day. The next thing I knew, I was waking up in ICU with tubes sticking out of me, looking at my daughter. What apparently happened is there was a drop-off on the ski run that none of us were aware of, and we were going pretty fast. And again, the snow was quite hard, and we had a major crash. Head trauma knocked me out. Wasn't breathing, no heartbeat. Matt and his son were playing in the snow nearby and happened to see it and came running and was the first person there and saved my life. Just amazing stuff even today. But, you know, just to have somebody like that come and take care of me was amazing. Appreciate it for the rest of my life. Thank you, Matt.
Pleasure to be here. It's an honor. Thank you for having me, and it's great to have Ernie here to hear the story and to see him. It's an emotional call. You know, it's not like the firehouse where you go on a 911 call and you come back and, you know, watch TV and fix dinner and forget about it. So this one kind of hit home a little more, and I'm glad I was there to help him. And my little son was there running after me. I had to I had to tell him to stop and stay with Mom, but he was ready to help too. So, pleasure to be here. Thank you.
All right, you get an idea why this is such an important award ceremony. Our next award is the EMS Field Provider Award. The EMS Field Provider Award goes to the EMT or paramedic who is an active provider of EMS and who exhibits exemplary performance in his or her quality of patient care, or who has performed an extraordinary act attempting to save a life. So once again, I'm going to repeat myself, is that it feels like, since it happens every day, it's really hard to pick particular events, but this is another clearly worthy one. The recipient of the 2022 Field Provider Award is Jennifer Ishikawa. And Well, first of all, congratulations. Jennifer is the acting community paramedic, EMS 6 captain from the San Francisco Fire Department. And I just want to put a big shout out for EMS 6 before Simon comes up here, because this has just been an incredible service. This is a group of folks that go out and really take on one of the most difficult jobs in terms of interacting and trying to help some of the most challenged folks that we have here in San Francisco. And there's a variety of reasons for why those challenges exist, but they really take on some of the most difficult situations and challenging experiences that we have. And just yesterday had another encounter where I think we really made a difference in this person's life. And they do this every single day. So I really want to shout out to EMS 6 and the job that they do every day. And I'm going to ask Simon Pang, the Assistant Deputy Chief of Community Paramedicine from the San Francisco. Oh, okay. All right. So we're going to take a moment here and welcome a distinguished and special guest. I'm going to actually have Mary Ellen. Okay. Mayor London Breed, thank you for the honor of your presence here. We talked about how important this ceremony is, and your presence is so appreciated. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you. Well, first of all, it is really great to be here and to really honor some of the extraordinary men and women who really help people at some of the most challenging times in their lives. And in fact, when I served on the Fire Commission, I got to see firsthand all the really challenging situations that vary all over San Francisco, from people in their homes who are dealing with a heart attack to the folks who sometimes are struggling on our streets. There are so many different facets of what emergencies exist in San Francisco. And today is so important because at some of the most challenging times of people's lives, so many of you, especially the people who we're honoring here today, you are the people that they either talk to or see first. You are the people that as dispatchers stay on the phone while they're trying to understand what they are dealing with and express themselves and to get them help simultaneously while you're listening. You are the paramedics who respond and who try to talk people through some very scary moments. You are the doctors that try and save the lives, the people who make up our emergency systems more than just the people who respond to calls. You are the people who save lives. You save lives in this city, a city that is a major city like other major cities experience their challenges, but we would not be able to do what we do and manage to help people in the way that we've been able to help people were it not for the work that all of you do. And I got to say, with EMS 6, I know Simon Pang is coming up here shortly, but a lot of the work that EMS 6 does in particular to be in the areas where we know so many people struggle with addiction and people struggle with mental illness, and the need to respond a lot sooner than waiting for someone to show up, and having someone on the ground was so important. And the work that EMS 6 does under the leadership of Simon Pang came about in terms of financial support through my budget, because I saw the significance of it and understood that we needed to do more. Today, as we honor the extraordinary men and women who make up the emergency systems of San Francisco, I'm even more appreciative of your work, not just because of what you do every single day, but because of what you did to help us get through COVID, despite the fact that so many of us had to shelter in place and had potentially the luxury to work from home. You still had to show up. You still had to physically engage with people. You still had to put your lives on the line to save others, not knowing what could happen to you or even your families. You stayed apart from your families in hotel rooms in San Francisco while you did your jobs. When I think about all that you have sacrificed, I had to come here today to express my appreciation, the appreciation of not just me personally, but the appreciation of all the people of San Francisco, because we know that you will be there. We know that the doctors will do everything they can to save lives. We know that the paramedics will not only try to save your life, but simultaneously try to keep you calm. And as I said, the dispatchers on the phone at the 911 center, trying to keep things calm and simultaneously get the right people out to respond to those various situations. So we appreciate you all so much. Today, we are honoring a few individuals I know, but I see also in the audience some of your coworkers who are also equally responsible and as important as everyone here in terms of the work that you do to assist one another. When we talk about San Francisco as a city family, it really is when you have all of these people who are working together for a common goal. Something that makes our city so special and so unique is our compassion, our desire to help, our desire to serve, our desire to put others before ourselves. And today we honor individuals who do just that, who epitomize what it means to serve your fellow man. So on behalf of the City and County of San Francisco, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your commitment to San Francisco despite the continuous challenges that persist. I know this pandemic, as I said, has been even more difficult to endure, but I am so proud of this city because we saw one of the lowest death rates of any other major city, even though we are the densest city in the country, and one of the lowest infection rates. We know what we can do when we come together. We know how we can save lives. And so I would encourage you to continue to get out there and do the great work you're doing every single day. That baby that wouldn't have even made it had it not been for your assistance over the phone. Some of the stories I would read about the dispatchers and the work and the information, I look at that information because I want to know what's going on in this city. And what I see in many of my notes and many of the information, and even in many of the conversations I have with residents in San Francisco, they say, that firefighter saved my life. That police officer administered Narcan to that individual. This man who we didn't even know held my hand until help came. That's what it means to be a San Franciscan. That's what it means to serve, and all of you represent that so very well. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much for your service.
Mayor Breed, with your permission, I'd like to invite all the awardees to come up for a picture opportunity. And so even those that we have not yet given the award to, please do come on up, and we're going to get a picture while we have the mayor here.
I just snuck out of City Hall, so please don't tell anyone I left.
So after that very welcome deviation from our program, we're going to now start back in and have Simon Tang come up and give this next award. As I was saying, Simon Tang is the Assistant Deputy Director, Chief of Community Paramedicine from the San Francisco Fire Department, who will present this award. And Simon is somebody I've had a chance to work with quite a bit, and is really, again, really spearheaded this really exciting program, so is no better person to give this award.
Thanks, Doctor. I'd like to introduce Jennifer Ishikawa. I've had the privilege of seeing Jen work on immediate emergencies, on 911 calls, and I have a clear recollection of how calm and poised she has been. And since 2020, she's been working with us in community paramedicine, where it's a different type of emergency. It's a very slow unfolding emergency over the course of months and years. And really these types of emergencies so often end in unhappiness, and I don't know which is the more difficult one to experience, but Jen has, she has demonstrated her dedication by working hours after her shift. If she got off at 12, she'd work till 2. If she got off at 2, she'd work till 4. I've had many conversations with her where I asked her to please go home on time. And she tells me that there's just so much work to be done. When we first started, it was the beginning of the COVID pandemic. She rose to the challenge. She has 2 small children. She has a wife that is a 911 dispatcher here in the city, and her shifts did not work well with her family routine, but she had to do it. She did it without complaint. Later on, when I had to reassign her to another unit, she's usually on EMS 6, she did so without complaint. She did not like the job. I could see it in her face and her body language. Still the same output. She'd meet 10 or 12 people in a day, and when we spoke, she said, I just have to learn the job better. I have to get better at this. So dedicated, compassionate, resilient. I'm just so happy you're on our team. Thanks.
Thank you, Chief. I am overwhelmed with gratitude to have been selected to receive the 2022 EMS Provider Award. I'd like to thank my family for putting up with my projects and long hours, the crews who are out there keeping the city safe, and to my community paramedic family who have stayed true to their mission and who have redefined the words hustle and grit. It is an honor to have had my work recognized by the EMSA, and it means so much to me that the work I'm so passionate about resonates with others. I am forever humbled and appreciative. Thank you.
So our next award is the EMS Hospital Provider Award. Another group of recipients near and dear to my heart, because it's a group that I get to work with every single day. So the EMS System Hospital Provider Award goes to the nurse, physician, or other staff in the emergency department who exhibits exemplary performance in his/her quality of patient care, or who performed an extraordinary act attempting the saving of a life. And the 2022 EMS Hospital Provider Award recipients are a team, and this team came together to really form Project Friend. And Project Friend is the first EMS-affiliated program in the state of California to provide naloxone, Narcan, distribution trainings, policies, and protocols for EMS distribution of Narcan to the public. And so this is basically going, and in EMS we have used Narcan in the treatment of opioid overdose for a long time. But this is the first program that's really gone a step further to distribute it in situations, so to proactively anticipate that there is a risk there and to get naloxone out into the community in a far more significant way, and not just have to wait for EMS to get there. And as we all know, any of us have been on calls with opioid overdoses, and really need to acknowledge the epidemic that we have been in for quite some time with opioids. The pandemic has not helped by any means, and in fact, in many ways has made that worse. But we've been struggling with an opioid epidemic, not only in this city, but across the country for far too long. And this is a significant step in trying to address this issue. This team, I will also go further, acknowledge that Narcan is a wonderful, wonderful intervention. But it is not a treatment or a cure. it's basically a reversal of an overdose situation. And this team has also been very instrumental in going that next step of really talking about treatment of opioid addiction, opioid withdrawal, and taken more significant steps in the last 2 years in what we can now do in the emergency department to help with opioid use disorder than we have in my 25-year career of medicine, where we have dealt with this problem for far too long. So it is my distinct pleasure to invite the Project Friend team up to receive this award. This team includes Dr. Kathy LeSaint, who is unfortunately not able to join us today, but Dr. Juan Carlos Montoy, Dr. Eric Silverman, Dr. Mary Mercer, Ms. Virginia Chan, and Ms. Theresa Sandholdt, who also I fear was not able to join us today. But please come up and receive this very well-deserved award.
Thank you. So I pulled the short straw today, so I'm going to make a few words on behalf of our team. So we wanted to express our appreciation for this honor and recognition, and really for the partnership across that this award represents, both with the EMSA, Andrew, Dr. Brown, our EMSA leadership, who, when we came to them with this proposal a few years ago, it's hard to imagine now because we now have a much more robust pre-hospital system for addressing opioid use disorder. But when we first came, we said we'd like to propose a new scope of practice whereby we distribute Narcan through our EMS system. And, we presented that, and some people were like, well, why would we want to do that? And it turned out there wasn't a scope of practice on the books anywhere in California or at the state. And so really appreciate the vision of the EMS agency, of our partners in fire, AMR, King American, the leadership teams there, particularly the community paramedicine team that also recognized that vision and served as advisors. Our EMS champions, so the 911 champions, so Sam Scow, Ray Ryan, and Emily Tam, who provide frontline continuous early feedback and later feedback in developing the protocol, and many, many others, our department, that helped also advance the induction programs at San Francisco General after people are given the service. So we're very grateful. We're super thrilled to continue to work with the teams and then also see how this program has flown into other treatment options through the SORT team, the community paramedicine, navigation services, and others. So thank you. We're happy to be here.
Good opportunity also to acknowledge the medical direction that is here. Eric Silverman is the medical director for King Ambulance, the oldest private ambulance service in the country. We also have medical directors, both Clement Ye and Jeremy Lecoq. Clement was the medical director for the fire department for many, many years, and has now moved into the Department of Emergency Management while Jeremy Lecoq has taken over there. And also, I know David Malmood wanted to be here today, was not able to as the medical director of AMR, but very supportive of these, again, incredibly important awards. So our next award is the EMS Community Award. And the EMS Community Award goes to the member of the public, nonprofit agency, organization, caretaker, volunteer, friend, or family member, it's a big group, who contributes to emergency medical services through a response and intervention for an individual emergency or by dedication to the improvement of EMS through community service. And the recipient of the 2022 EMS Community Service Award is Larry Pera. A community member and, oh, by the way, a retired member of the San Francisco Fire Department. And to introduce him and talk about this award, I would like to, it's also my pleasure to invite Chief Sandy Tong. Please come. She is the Assistant Deputy Chief of EMS Division of the San Francisco Fire Department, and she will present this award. Welcome, Sandy.
Thank you, Dr. Caldwell. First wanted to just say that Chief Nicholson, our Chief of Department, regretfully is on a work-related trip. So she had me do this, but I also recognize that our deputy chiefs are also here in the audience. Okay, so on January 7th, 2022, Larry Pera attended a show at Davie Symphony Hall where he observed a 65-year-old male collapse near the mezzanine in the hallway. As a recently retired and highly regarded San Francisco fire paramedic, Larry quickly assessed the patient and determined he was in cardiac arrest. With the assistance of another medical provider, Larry initiated CPR, deployed the AED, and provided a shock, which helped the patient regain a pulse. The patient was transported to the hospital, where his treatment continued. The patient continued to recover in the hospital and was released to home 2.5 weeks later. I had gotten a text from one of our rescue captains who got a text from Larry, and I was debating whether or not I wanted to share part of this, but I think since he's not here, I'm going to say it. It describes the scene, and then he describes that he gave a shock, the fire department came, the medics transported him to the hospital, and he says, "I was a little rusty, but muddled through." I think he more than muddled through. Larry is recognized for his valiant efforts in identifying a sudden cardiac arrest victim and quickly performing CPR. Retired SFFD paramedic Pera serves as a model case of how successful public CPR training, public access AED programs, and early ACS can result in life-saving outcome. Because of his exceptional contributions, we're awarding him the 2022 EMS Community Service Award. But Larry, unfortunately, is traveling. He has been waiting anxiously to do so since COVID, so I'm happy he is out there and enjoying his life. So he's not able to join us today. However, his friend and former ambulance partner, Chris Sandholdt, is here to accept his award. He's very shy, so he doesn't want to speak.
We actually have a video from Larry Pera that he sent me from his travels. So let me just pull that up. And hold on, now it's gone. It's okay. Where did it go? There we go. Okay.
Hello, and greetings from, well, I'm recording this in Berlin, but I'll be down in Austria by the time you see this. I just want to say thank you very much for this award. I was more than a little surprised when I got the phone call about this. I still don't know how it all came about, and to the person or persons that are responsible, thank you, because I really don't know how this came about. I would also like to congratulate all the other folks that are getting awards today. It's a tough business, so it's nice to get recognition. I have to say a big thank you to all those folks that have been in the trenches the past 2 years. I can't imagine what you've had to deal with. It is just remarkable the work you've done. And finally, thank you to my old partner and very good friend, Chris Sandholdt, who's stepping in my behalf today. Chris was a great partner, and he's been an even better friend, so thank you, Chris. All right, I hope you all stay safe, and I will see you hopefully sometime soon. Thanks again.
All right, our next award, the Raymond Lim Excellence in EMS Award. And the Raymond Lim Excellence in EMS Award is for the EMS professional who has made significant contributions and exemplifies outstanding commitment to professionalism, ethics, and EMS quality over the course of a distinguished career in the tradition of the late Raymond Lim. The 2022 Raymond Lim Excellence in EMS Award goes to Frederick Salin. Frederick is a rescue captain with the San Francisco Fire Department. It's a common theme today. And to give this award, I'd like to welcome back up Sandy Tong.
All right, thanks. San Francisco Fire Department Rescue Captain Frederick M. Salin is presented this award for his tremendous leadership throughout his career in EMS. Captain Salin is a shining example of integrity, hard work, and passion for patient care. He started his career as an SFD firefighter in 1996. A few years later, became a paramedic, and in 2010, scored #1 on the rescue captain exam, the same test I took and wasn't. His dedication to his role as a rescue captain was first reflected in his efforts to seek out other experienced RCs to discuss possible scenarios and situations to prepare in advance for the next emergency. He would strive to thoroughly understand the job so he could then provide the necessary leadership on challenging incidents. He consistently displays a calm presence on scenes and provides crews with clear guidance based on the circumstances, his knowledge, and experience. He is thoughtful, poised, and compassionate. Captain Salin's commitment to training, demonstrated professionalism, and patient advocacy reflects great credit upon himself and the San Francisco Fire Department. Congratulations. Come on up. And he has two really cute boys, Marco and Dante, over there.
Congratulations. All right, thank you. We averted a family fight because we have two phones, so these guys could both share in the video. For Mama, who's on a COVID isolation, which has been a fun thing for our marriage for the last week. So, but we're getting along great on different levels. It's amazing the kind of command staff. Thank you for being here, and my kids, Marco, Dante. Thank you for coming with me today. This is a family thing for us, and I wanted to try this style for a minute, lighten it up a little. Have you ever tried to clear your mind after a difficult night at work, drinking a huge cup of Pete's coffee, rollerblading through the park, doing circles at 6th and Fulton again and again? Well, I have. And after a long night in the firehouse where the tones shake you awake, the middle of the night, slide down a pole, drive lights and siren to a residence of an elderly couple, one crying, the other deceased. You're helping the crying spouse pick a cremation service from your iPhone so that the spouse feels that they've treated the deceased with dignity and respect. Well, I have. One of my sons said to me a couple years back, "Dada, I think your work might be stressful, and it might be something that is stressful for you." And I had really mixed feelings about hearing that from my son Marco. It took me back. I said, how beautiful that he could acknowledge the work, how beautiful that he could see something was stressful for me. And then I felt like a complete failure for keeping that kind of work wall intact. And I'm seeing all the families here, and I realize that that's something that we're all sharing on different levels. And as your kids grow up, they see, feel everything that happened at work. And so I actually feel like this award is for them, for supporting me and supporting all of the families that are doing this type of work, all the EMS providers and the doctors here today. And I'd like to give them a round of applause. Thank you.
All right, well, our next award is the inaugural Mary Magosi Excellence in EMS and Disaster Leadership Award. So many of us in this room, myself included, had the opportunity to work with Mary. She was an EMS specialist that worked with the EMS agency from 1995 until 2019 when we tragically lost her. She had a background in emergency nursing, starting off in Boston before moving here to San Francisco. Has multiple notable accomplishments and really was a passionate patient champion and systems-based administrator that served this system incredibly well for many, many years. She was also a devoted rower of the Dolphin Club at San Francisco and a strong voice for our system in many areas, including event medicine and so many other aspects of our EMS system. Her spirit's going to live in the new Mary Magosi Simulation Training Center with the San Francisco EMS Agency. And I'd like to invite Andrew Holcomb to say a few words about Mary prior to giving this award.
Thanks, Dr. Caldwell. So this EMS week is very, very special in that we've dedicated our new simulation center at our office on Valencia Street to Mary Magosi, who is a former EMS specialist who worked in public service in San Francisco for over 30 years. We had a beautiful dedication this morning, and I can't wait for all the EMTs and paramedics, physicians, and nurses to come down and check it out and do some training with the EMS agency. We're super excited and grateful to have this and to name it in Mary's honor. This year, we've decided to add an award to the annual EMS Awards event that reflects Mary's work through excellence in EMS leadership and disaster response. And Mary's family unfortunately couldn't be here today, but she's surrounded by many of her friends here in the audience. And I definitely want to read something from Mary's sister Susan, who asked us to say this for her dedication today. To the colleagues and friends of Mary, the family would like to thank you for this honor to Mary. Our father was a medic in World War II. He was a strong man, decisive, stoic, and energetic. His positive influence shaped Mary to be the tough, compassionate, and dogmatic person that she became. Mary loved to work and laugh and was dedicated to her job, family, friends, and passions. Her compassion for humanity is her legacy. And I hope we all have the opportunity to leave a legacy like Mary did. And now I would like to welcome one of Mary's close friends, Sally Buchanan, to come forward and present the inaugural award. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're all here in case I have a heart attack up here. I'm going to be reading a little script I wrote here, but before I present this award, I just, to this very deserving person, I just wanted you to know that I've been wearing Uggs and slippers and, yoga pants for 2 years, retired and living in Cleveland. That's Mary's hometown. And so we grew up together. But Mary would stay with me and Rebecca during the summers to catch up and plan her siblings' needs and find her inner Cleveland. So I Googled, what should a person wear when they come to San Francisco? Then Andrew asked me to do this award and to, in front of all these worthy, esteemed associates of Mary's. And here I am lamenting about what sort of clothing to wear when you are all in uniforms, sacrificing every day. So perhaps I should have remembered, though, what to wear as I was here with Mary when she got her shocking diagnosis. I was part of a team, Team Mary, coordinated to assist with this new diagnosis. That's what she did, she planned. So Team Mary assisted with everyday things, medical appointments, shopping, meals, bill pay, trips, and she went to Yosemite with her dear friend Nancy and Rebecca, and turned out her last Thanksgiving was at our friend Renata's. But before we went, we had to go to this very utilitarian bakery to pick up a donut, a giant donut, one about this big. Maybe you've been there, I don't know. Mary said that was really important. That was her sense of humor. So she made a point of introducing me to her dearest friends, and as part of her plan, I was acquainted with her dolphin rowing club members. Mary was a trainer there as well as a member, and was very much respected at the rowing club. While staying with Mary in San Francisco, she was receiving treatments. I was with her then, and you would think that I would remember what to wear, because she said, wear layers. Mary would inform me. When we went grocery shopping at Molly Stone, down a really long hill, Mary would stop to ask me, while she had just had brain surgery, if I needed to rest while walking up the hills. And she would comment that I need better shoes and better socks. So she wanted to return to Cleveland. That's where she wanted to be with her sister. While in Cleveland with her diagnosis of glioblastoma, she coordinated a complete remodel of her sister's condominium. And again, yeah, Susie did want me to say that she attributed a lot to her father, but Mary was really a planner, and really one of her Dolphin Club friends referred to us as the Cleveland Mafia, because we came here and then we took her back to Cleveland. So we were only following Mary's plan. That's what she did in her personal life, as well as you have found out, in her professional life. But I'm sure she would have told me that I should have worn more comfortable shoes. So thank you. The 2022 Mary Magosi Excellence in EMS and Disaster Leadership Award recipient this year is Richard Pekilny, volunteer and San Francisco community member. Thank you. Richard Pekilny is recognized for his integral role in the Emergency Medical Service Authority as a representative of the public, providing invaluable insight to improve the EMS system. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Rich volunteered to assist the EMSA medical director with MOAC functions, and instrumental in establishing alternative care sites, ensuring rapid, wide, and equitable distribution critical resources across San Francisco EMS and healthcare facilities, including PPE to long-term care facilities, critical medications and vaccine supply to high-volume sites, community sites, and mobile teams. Rich is an exemplary model of hard work, good humor, relationship building, and community-mindedness, raising the standard for all who contribute to San Francisco's EMS and emergency response system. Would you like to say a few words?
Just after 9/11, Mike Petrie, who was running EMSA at the time, facilitated my taking ICS 300-400 incident command with the idea that if we had a major incident, I might come to volunteer. Mary Magosi was at my table in the tabletop exercise. But by the way, make sure you have Muni on your table. They're really good. In March 16th, 2020, I wrote to Dr. Brown asking, do you need help? And they said yes, not expecting it to be 2 years of volunteer activity. Who knew? But what I've learned in almost 30 years of volunteering in the EMS system is how incredible the people are that manage to not turn jaded, the ones that remain compassionate to the persons experiencing homelessness and the addicted and the behavioral health patients that we deal with all the time. I remember, Chief Tangerlini here. I see him, think of him in the Paramedic Association just as he was starting the community paramedic program that has done such incredible amount of stuff over the last 5 years. And certainly during COVID, they've been mentioned a couple times. But in the last 2 years, I've also learned about the incredible diversity and skill and compassion of the people in the Department of Public Health outside of EMS that, I knew might have existed, but I never got to meet them. And for that, I feel very lucky to have been able to work on this. We protected the city. Our hospitals never went from contingency to crisis level of care, although we were darn close in a few places at a few times. And I see Dr. Ye, who went and lived through crisis care in New York, and I am in awe of the kind of courage it takes to do that. And I'm very proud and happy to have been able to help keep San Francisco in my little way out of that level of care. And last, I would thank my wife, who suffered through 24/7 on-call. It was just basically Dr. Brown and myself doing MOHAC, and we got calls at 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock at night, sometimes later, because there was a patient somewhere else in California who needed one of our hospital beds, or some other SNF that was going down fast and needed our help. This increased the exposure not just for me, but for her and to the rest of my family. And they, like your families, put up with it and supported us. And the absence of daily life and all the things that I normally do for 2 years that I couldn't do because I was busy doing this. So thank you to all of you, and I remain in awe of each and every one of you that manages to remain compassionate and remain involved in these long careers, helping the people that need it most. Thank you.
So Richard mentioned Chief Tagliarini, and I also want to acknowledge all of the leadership for San Francisco Fire, for AMR, King, and again, your presence is so important here for this incredibly important ceremony. It's time to wrap up. I do want to call your attention, if I could, to there's a packet in your booklets. It's called about Pulse Point. And what this is it's a new program. It's a 911 connected mobile app that allows users to view and receive alerts on calls being responded to by emergency medical services. Now, I was a little nervous about that when I first heard about it. But one of the cool aspects of this, it will actually alert trained CPR folks who download the app when there's a potential need for their services or an AED in their area. And obviously, with our focus on getting early CPR, early AED as a really impact, or a real chance to save lives, this is a step in the right direction. I would ask you, we're going to have a booth out in front in the reception area. Elena Goon is out there with an EMSA nurse and QI manager who's got a lot more information on this program. So please do learn a little bit more about this mobile app that I think will be a nice addition to our system. This concludes our program. On behalf of EMS Agency, thank you for being here. Can't imagine, again, a more important award ceremony. Please join us. We've got cupcakes and coffee and tea out in the reception room out here. I will ask for the recipients and those that gave the award to come up for one last picture, and then we will all be out to meet out in the reception room. Thank you all for being here.